Hello and welcome back to another episode of Behind Clean Lines. I'm Mikkel Svold, and today we're tackling the dilemma many businesses are actually facing, and that is, if it's not broken, why should we fix it? And this is basically also an answer to the last episode where we had Nils in the studio, where we talked a lot about agility and fixing new things and basically, looking into the future and trying to get ready for the future. But today we're basically zooming back down on how do we need to fix stuff if it's not really broken, and when do we need to do it? And this is a challenge for many companies. And today, joining us to kind of unpack this topic, we are joined by Philip Skall Hansen, who is the Chief Production Officer at NGI. Philip, welcome here.
Thank you very much.
And I think just to dive straight in, what is the NGI philosophy behind optimization, optimizing production and optimizing operations in general? What thoughts go behind that?
Yeah, so NGI is placed in Denmark, where we have a fairly expensive workforce. So one of our main tasks is to have focus on optimizing in the production, so we don't get too heavy headcount, where we are certainly not competitive to the rest of Europe. So it's a big deal here at NGI, but also we have a lot of different product lines. So we have a lot of machineries that are parallel connected to each other. So we have a lot of bottlenecks that we focus individually. So the whole mindset around optimization is something that goes on in every level at NGI. That is my philosophy. That is what we're trying to do, to get the ownership from all the employees, to try and see if we can do small adjustment all the time to be better.
Do you have any say strategies around, you say, small adjustments versus, I guess, large adjustments? At NGI, would you always just do small adjustments, or?
No, definitely not. We have a fairly fast R&D department where we do a lot of new products. So we typically start up with if you look at a lifespan of a product, well, we have to start up fairly basis to be able to understand how to produce the parts with a good quality. And as the time goes by and our sales grow, well, then it's the time for us to do things with more than just small adjustments, where we have to look into a bigger picture. Okay, how can we do semi-automatic automation on individual parts? And then as the times go by, well, suddenly we have the opportunity to do a big optimization. And again, we focus individually on all machines, more or less, since we do not have a long production line that makes all our parts in one hit. So it's a fairly big job to make the big adjustments, which we do all the time, but with of course a longer scope in the projects, from the day-to-day operation.
And now I'm thinking, if you're in the food producing industry or in the machine building industry, you've been used to building your machines in one way or another, and it basically works. What would it take basically to say, okay, we need to change this?
Yeah. So how do we? One of the things that we have a lot of focus on when we're talking about that is we do not want to have way too much manpower in one specific area. So we need to break that curve. So instead of saying, okay, now we grow 10% in this area, well, instead of hiring 10 extra people, then we need to do something major change, make a major change in the production setup, meaning that we need to have new technology, new knowledge in to see, okay, how can we do it in a better way than we did last year? And this is typically something that we have actually in all our departments, manufacturing departments, where we say, okay, we have done, NGI is 31 years old now, and some of the machines have been there for the beginning. And now we have more or less all departments where we have changed this mindset. So we do not just add another employee when we grow. So now we can do things more automated. But one of the main issues at us is that it is not standard parts that we produce. So the solutions throughout automation or digitalization is not a standard solution that I can just buy around the corner. So every time I need to optimize things with a big change, we need to start from the scratch to design our own automation cells in the production from the scratch, basically. But we always do it together with the right partner. So we do not just use one automation partner. For example, we use several partners throughout Denmark, always in Denmark, close by, so we can have a discussion over the table and not on Teams, for example. And then each single robotic cell that we have is specialized for NGI. And we do have a lot at the moment, and we have a lot in the pipeline also.
And now you say that at NGI there's the stuff that you actually produce, the components that you produce, they vary quite a lot.
Yeah.
Would that be the same picture when you look at say food production industries or say machine builders, other machine builders? Is that the same picture?
I think
in general,
if you look at the machine builders, they will always, it is always almost one-off projects they are making. A lot of in particular in Denmark, a lot of the automation partners we have here in Denmark is not standardized solutions that they provide to their customers. So they also have to think out the whole project from the scratch, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I can take, maybe it's wrong, but a lot of them are one-off projects.
Yeah. And now, how do they know when to innovate and how to optimize, or when to optimize their operations?
That's a good question. I cannot answer on the machine builders on how they do that, but what we do here is that we are always making sure that we have the right partners, even if it's from a small tool in our stamping department, for example, that needs a new overhaul, where we then find sometimes by accident, sometimes by networking, find the right partner, then he can suddenly make a major change for us, which leads us to automation on a later stage. So from my point of view at NGI, one of the things that we have learned the last couple of years is that we have to focus from, it is not just a robotic when we're talking of automation and so on, but it's often from the scratch, all the way from the bottom, that we have to focus. From the tooling, from the old machine, and then all the way up to digitalization and all the other buzzwords, Industry 4.0 and so on. But it starts from the bottom, basically. When we're talking assets, machines, robots, and so on, it starts from the bottom. But it also starts from the bottom when we are trying to drive this change throughout the production. So we have to have all our hourly paid employees with us, so we don't have the resistance for the change. So this is also something that we are really focused on, is getting the ownership to the people and then train the people in the new optimized process. Yeah.
Do you have any specific example of when you did this?
Yeah, we are currently undergoing a big change in our vulcanization department, where we are a vulcanization with rubber, where NGI started 31 years ago. So basically we have been molding rubber for 31 years without major change. We have done several changes to cope with the growth, but now for the first time in 31 years we can do a major change. And this is all the way from the raw materials that we use that have been optimized, to the machines, to the robotics, but now also we have to involve the people that have been standing at a manually operated machine for many years. We have a long what's it called when people have been here for a long time? Anciennitet.
Yeah, they've been here for a long time.
They have been here for many years. So,
yeah.
so the guys that we have in the production have been here for plus 5 years, a lot of them, and some of them have been here for the whole company lifetime, plus 30 years. So they've been doing the same all the time. And now suddenly there is a big change coming up, and they have to accept this. But this is where we use quite a lot of focus in my team in the production to tell them, okay, you are not losing your job, even though there is coming a robot. But that robot means that we can keep the production in Denmark, still earning good money for the company, even though we have expensive Danish labor. So our goal would be to say, okay, we want to grow with the existing manpower that we have today, but without hiring new people, we can keep up with the growth with more automated processes.
I want to come back to talking about introducing change and introducing, I guess, optimizing operations. When do you know that it's time to do something? What are the triggers that you would react on to say, okay, now we actually need to do something to optimize our production and our operations?
Yeah, there could be several factors. It could be quality issues where we say, okay, if we do not change anything, we would face quality issue when we see a rise again in the growth. That could be one of the main topics to do changes, but often it's because that we are having again too much labor in one department where we can see, okay, even every 6 months we need to hire one new people to keep up with the short delivery times that NGI has. We are working with exceptional short lead times, so that demands a lot on our workforce, and that takes often quite a lot of people. So for us, when we are what we are doing all in my team is that we are very present. We are focused on this task. Actually, it's very important for us. It's a strategic subject. But what I try to learn the people that I have, and also for myself, we use the time on the floor. So we go around, talk to the people, see what they're doing. So we always have this feeling around what's happening. So it's not a spreadsheet. It's not data that we're looking into and think we take a decision out of that. No, it's a combination of data that has been proven in the real world also, and then we can do the discussion and make the changes.
But that must also create quite a lot of dilemmas because again, you look at a production that's actually working right now, and then you want to implement something or a big change. Can you try and talk about some of the dilemmas that you meet in choosing whether or not to change operations?
Yeah, so when it works, why touch it?
Yeah. If it's not broken,
it's always it can always be what can you say, an issue if you touch something that works and then you suddenly think you have the answers for everything. You make the change and then suddenly the process doesn't work or the machine doesn't work or whatever it is. So again, I think we have been fairly good on this since we are present. Again, we know why is it working and why it's not working, and then we can do the changes out of that. And sometimes also we say, okay, we don't change it if it works. It depends really on the production, on the process, but also on the product. Is this something that we want to invest in the future, or is it something that we say, okay, we have the product, we don't really want to invest a lot, so we have focus elsewhere.
Yeah, because like I introduced in the very beginning, Niels Winsmark, who was here in the last episode, he was talking a lot about future-proofing your organization, future-proofing production, also with the special focus on the food production industry, so hygienic manufacturing. Now, he was saying you need to change in order to stay ahead of competition, in order to stay relevant, in order to basically stay alive in 5 years. Is that pressure for development and change and transformation, is that always beneficial? Is that always a good thing?
It's a hard question, but I think from my point of view, when we're talking about the operations, we for sure have to be agile, as Niels said. We are following the commercial side of NGI quite closely, so whatever works for our customers, we will adapt in the production. And yeah, I think with the customer focus that we have a lot here at NGI, that takes a lot of focus in the operation. And if we look on the PLC product life cycle, there is the tendency that, of course, in the beginning, as I said earlier in this interview, is that in the beginning of a product, there are different focuses than optimization. And because we have a lot of different product variations within each individual category, it is often hard for me to make one fully optimized machine to begin with. We need to see what are the customer needs and where do we sell, which specific items do we sell, and then we can focus on optimization on those items. So we are really joining around the commercial side of NGI in the operation. So it is not the operation at NGI that demands to sell what they have to sell. We do whatever Sil wants, and then we fix it.
And doesn't that create a lot of misunderstandings and tension? And
in between who?
But I mean, between what is sold, and then you come back to production and say, okay, we sold this part, or for machine builders, we sold this machine. Can you produce it? And the answer is basically, no, we can't.
We can always produce it. No, but this is what they really said, the NGI side, our competitors, that we do whatever the customer wants. We can do it. We have proven it for a long time now, and we can do it in a cost-efficient manner. So this is our whole setup at NGI. So yes, it creates some tensions, but this is whatever who works in the operation side of NGI knows and have committed to. So we do the changeover at the machines. We do the optimization wherever we need it in order to deliver to the customer what he wants and when he wants it. Yeah.
I think now, just wrapping it up, for companies kind of grappling the decision of whether to optimize now, whether to keep what they already have because they know it works, and also to kind of still push on this journey that Niels was talking about, following the market, staying agile. What advice or guiding principles would you offer?
Yeah, so it's quite simple from my perspective, is stay present to them, in all.
What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean? You have to be in my opinion, you cannot you have to be close by the production. Or if you are not able to do it yourself, then you need to have some good people that are present. They are looking at the people, the machines, and also can understand the data behind it, and then make the right decision out of that. But basically, you have to be aligned in all aspects of the company. So sales and operation are really...
It's not an easy task, is it?
Definitely not. Definitely not. But it is necessary to take the right decisions. You can easily take a decision, but to make the right decision at the right time, that is focused.
Just real quick, how do you actually do that? How do you keep the entire organization on the same track, not just the right track, but also on the same track? Is that by weekly meetings, or how do you actually do it?
No, as Niels stated, we are agile here at NGI, so we don't use a lot of time on meetings and so on, but all the doors are open. We are flat organized, so if a salesperson come into my office and say, Philip, I have a good idea, I think this is where we have to focus, then we can take a decision over the coffee in the morning, and that really makes NGI.
I think we should let that be the last words. That's a really good wrap up. Philip Skall Hansen, thank you so much for stopping by to talk about this. It was really interesting to hear basically what's pretty close to a case story about how to keep operations optimized, I guess. And of course, to you, dear listeners, if you enjoyed this episode and maybe also others you've already heard, and want to stay updated on future ones, please hit the subscribe button on your podcast platform, podcast app, wherever you listen to podcasts. It will really help this podcast spread around and spread the word. So yeah, please do hit that like button, subscribe button, and also if you feel like it, go give us a star rating. That's it for now. Thank you so much for joining Behind Clean Lines, and until next time.